are not making trade work for us.
The real
The child shall in all circumstances be among the first to receive protection and relief in times of emergency and disaster.
UNICEF means the survival, development, and protection of children all over the world. Africa, Asia, South America, everywhere.
Ms. Hepburn traveled to virtually every area of the world where children and women are in need of assistance, giving them hope and comfort with her presence and tenderness.
like to read to you something very, very important, and it moves me deeply to have this privilege. The preamble to the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The child needs love and understanding and shall have the right to grow up in an atmosphere of affection and security. The child shall be entitled to grow and develop in health and shall have the right to adequate nutrition, housing, recreation, and medical services. The child is entitled to receive education and an opportunity to develop abilities in order to become a useful member of society.
Hello, and welcome to another enlightening edition of The Teacher, the program that celebrates teachers, examines the issues, challenges, policies, and innovations in shaping the future of education in Nigeria. I am Ian Philip. Welcome to the program. Education remains the foundation of every successful nation. But what happens when the very people entrusted with building the foundation, the teachers, begin to live in large numbers? Across Nigeria, schools are grappling with the growing shortage of qualified teachers. Many educators are relocating abroad in search of better pay, improved working conditions, and a greater professional opportunities. In response, schools have adopted stopgap measures, such as hiring retired teachers, engaging NYSC members, recruiting graduates without formal teaching qualifications, and relying on parent-teacher associations to help fund teaching staffs. But are these solutions sustainable? What does this mean for the future of children and the nation development? These are some of the questions we will explore on today's program. But first, let's celebrate excellence in the classroom. The teacher of the week is Dr. Mrs. Agatha Azubike Ibe Chiemeke, an ICT teacher with Diaterms International School, Port Harcourt, Rivers State. This astounding educator has distinguished herself through commitment, innovation, mentorship, and an unwavering passion for student success. Let's meet her.
The school has really helped me. I came in with a BSc in accountancy, diploma in computer science and data processing, no educational background. But finding myself here gave me a platform where I was able to read, do educational courses. And from there, it made my teaching more flexible, more interesting, and more impactful. So the school has actually made me to have a career path. I did the PGDE, proceeded to do Masters in Educational Administration. I didn't end there. I did a PhD in educational management administration option. So the school has not only helped me professionally, but it had helped me to get a career path. My most fulfilling moments have always been when I see pupils or students replicating what I transfer into them. The system even helped me to write books that helped me to make more impact. This is grade 4, grade 3, grade 2, and the upper primary. So when I see pupils replicating what is here, you know that ICT is hands-on. When I see them doing things that are here without my assistance, that makes my day. Most of the challenges of teachers is poor salary, insufficient fund to take care of their basic needs, and even to further their education. That's on the government, on the federal level. But if I should say something as an educationist, teachers, we have minimal challenges. I might be wrong, but I'm talking from my experience. When you make yourself relevant in the field of teaching, you won't lack much fund. So if the government can see what I'm seeing, empower the teachers financially, and make it a rule that you must go improve on yourself. If not, you'll be out of the job. We'll see that we'll be serious, we'll make more impact, we'll be intentional on what we transfer to the next generation. Draw a house or different shapes and color it.
Mrs. Agatha teaches us how to use the computer and the coding aspect of it. I remember her for her kindness and for her patience.
She's kind. She teaches good moral values like the grandma's advice, such as don't enter people's room without permissions. Academically, she has made me improve my typing skills.
She is a beautiful lady who teaches us how to use the computer, and she's very kind.
Ms. Chiemeke is one of the persons I would like to work with over and over again. She's a friend, a mother. In fact, personally, I term her to be my school mother because I often run to her each time I have issues, whether personal or academically.
Dr. Mrs. Agatha Ibe Chiemeke is worthy of the celebration we are giving her today because I believe that celebrating someone who is hardworking is one of the ways to encourage him or her to do better.
By God's grace, she came here as a computer teacher, which she has ever been till tomorrow. Very satisfied. You can't believe that she's a PhD holder. So Agatha Ibe has gone much, much further than what we expect. And by God's special grace, she's the Vice Principal Academics there at the nursery primary, yes.
Congratulations to Dr. Mrs. Agatha Azubike Ibe Chiemeke for this well-deserved recognition. Thank you for your service and your invaluable contribution to shaping the future of generations. Now to our documentary feature. Nigeria's education sector is facing a silent but growing crisis: the shortage of qualified teachers. As thousands of educators leave the profession or migrate abroad, schools are increasingly struggling to fill classrooms with competent teaching personnel. Our next report examines the cause, consequences, and emerging responses to this challenge.
Across Nigeria, a silent crisis is unfolding in classrooms, staff rooms, and school corridors it is a crisis that threatens the future of millions of children. The growing shortage of qualified teachers. For years, Nigerian teachers have played a critical role in shaping the nation's future. But today, many are leaving, driven by the search for better salaries, improved working conditions, professional growth opportunities, and economic stability. Thousands of teachers are migrating abroad in what has become part of the country's larger brain drain challenge. The consequences are becoming increasingly visible. In many schools, especially in rural and underserved communities, classrooms are overcrowded, subjects go untaught, and the burden on the remaining teachers continue to grow. Students are often left with fewer learning opportunities, reduced individual attention, and declining academic performance. The shortage has forced schools to adopt emergency measures. Across several states, retired teachers have been recalled to fill gaps. National Youth Service Corps members are increasingly being assigned teaching responsibilities. In some cases, graduates without professional teacher training are employed to keep classrooms running. While these stopgap measures help prevent complete disruption, education experts warn that they are not long-term solutions. Teaching requires specialized skills, classroom management techniques, and professional training. Without this, the quality of instruction may suffer, ultimately affecting students' outcomes. Another emerging trend highlights the severity of the challenge. In many communities, parent-teacher associations have stepped in to recruit and pay teachers, using contributions from parents and community members. Reports of PTA-funded teachers have surfaced in several public schools across states such as Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Niger, and other parts of the country, where teacher shortages remain a persistent concern. While these community efforts demonstrate commitment to education, they also raise difficult questions. Should parents bear the responsibility of funding essential teaching staff? What does this reveal about educational planning, funding, and workforce management? Education remains the foundation of national development. Yet, without sufficient qualified teachers, achieving quality education becomes increasingly difficult. Experts argue that improving teacher welfare, ensuring timely promotions, creating professional development opportunities, enhancing working conditions, and offering competitive remuneration are essential steps toward retaining talent. As Nigeria strives to build a stronger future, one question remains: who will teach the next generation if today's teachers continue to leave? The answer may determine not only the future of education, but the future of the nation itself.
Welcome back. Joining us today to discuss this important issue is Mr. Edino Ruben, an education stakeholder and development expert. Mr. Ruben, welcome to the Chicha.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so like we say, the education sector is basically facing a big exodus right now, as we know it to be the Japa syndrome.
Yes.
It seems to have affected us in the educational sector. So what do you think this will cost us in the long run, in the short run, in the country educational sector?
This is a very important topic. People were running away from Nigeria to go and teach somewhere else. The question is, are they running from teaching or they are running from Nigeria classroom? The reality is the teachers love teaching, but the condition for teaching in Nigeria is not welcoming. So they are looking for better classrooms, better places to do this thing they love, called teaching. And it's affecting the educational sector. affecting the student, and it's affecting Nigeria in the long run. How will it affect us? It's affecting the student because there is this inconsistency in instructional participation. When you want to teach a child, you have done it for a while, a child is getting to know you, but before you know it now, another teacher is coming in because something else had happened to him for good. So it's a problem we are facing. And let me let you know that it's not just Nigeria problem. I read in the UNESCO, they estimated that in 2030, they will be needing 444 million teachers.
Wow.
And in sub-Saharan Africa, there will be 15 million that will be needed. So some part of the country are looking for how to harness some teachers for themselves. The UK, the Canada, the Middle East are fighting against what is about to happen. But Nigerians are letting their own teachers away free of charge.
Wow. Well,
it's a serious problem.
That's a big statistics there. Okay, then fine. Enlighten us more. Well, what are as these teachers begin to run in for greener pastures and basically, I don't want to use the word abandon, but let go of the country's youth.
Okay.
What is the long-run impact or long-term consequences for students learning, the outcomes of school performance, and national development?
All right. I don't want to use the word running for greener pasture. They're seriously running for better classrooms. Yes. If these classrooms are better here, the teachers will want to teach here because it's a passion. But they're looking for where their prestige will be upheld seriously. They're looking for where they will be looked at as a professional that deserve to be honored. Someone said something, he said nobody is immune to honor. But when your honor is lacking, you run away from such environment. Teachers are not honored in Nigeria. Statistics abound of where, because you become a teacher, you are almost a laughing stock. Not because you don't know something, not because you can't express yourself, not because you're not doing your work. The simple problem or issues you have is because you are a teacher. Your mate that has a child that you are taking care of looks down on you because you can't pay the bill like he pays. You know, there's that silent competition in the world we are in, but you are a little bit lower because you are a teacher, because you don't earn like them. And if you don't earn, you don't have a voice.
So, fine, then how does this exodus now, what are the long-term effects that it will hit?
Very good question, sir. Now, immediate problem is inconsistency in instructional processes. For example, when we consult or we are preparing a teacher, we ask the teacher to get to know his student from the beginning of a term. Now, you have gotten to know this student, you know how he learns, you know his style of learning, you know his trouble, you know the one that is having issues with eye that must come forward. You know many other things about your 25 pupils, your 30 pupils individually, that you tailor their instruction individually. Now, something happened. You just shift or move from the place you are to another place for any reason, like it's happening now. What do you think of a new teacher that comes in? There will be a serious gap, and it will cause lack of continuity. So on the long run, the country may have issues with its workforce.
In recent studies, we've had, recent information has come out into glass that now it's the PTA, the Parents-Teacher Associations, that are now being taxed to generate funding to be able to pay for shortages of teachers. In some states like Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, Niger, and several other rural areas nationwide, we hear issues that the PTA is being, the funding generated from the PTA is being used to either employ or pay for the teachers or the shortages of teachers. So what does this trend say about educational funding and workforce planning when it comes to the educational sector?
Thank you very much. That is, I want to commend every parent that have ever contributed ₦1 to support school, not home lesson.
Okay.
If parents that has done that deserve a kudos, and I would publicly say they have tried. But the fact that we have ready parents to support does not make it right. We know funding has been the trouble. There is a stipulated fraction that must go. Let me use percentages that must go for education that UNESCO prescribed, from 20 to 30% of the budget. I don't want to say it has been followed duly. You know, if it's duly followed and it's well used, at least this trouble will not be so much. And secondly, we don't have full data of the teachers. I'm not talking of government school. Now, they may try to have, but we need a holistic data that you can use. You can't do any planning without data. So, and that leads me to planning. When we have necessary data, we can plan. How many teachers do we have? How many students do we have? What is the teacher-student ratio that is expected of a class? Either we follow it or not, that may not be even the issue, but we should have quality data that will help us plan. It shows some level of little or lack of planning to allow innocent parents that send their children to start funding the payment or the employment of teachers that I can as well keep my child at home and homeschool him.
True, very true. So, looking ahead.
Yes, sir.
As we say, focusing on solutions.
Yes, sir.
What policies should government, school owners, and basically the entire educational stakeholders implement to retain these qualified teachers, to ensure that they continue putting up their best foot forward and not see going abroad as the best way possible?
Thank you very much, sir. The first thing I want to say is that we said that they are going for greener pasture. It means that there is a pasture here. The problem is that it's not green. So what we need to do is to work hard to make our pasture green. And what should we do? I want to list on few things, sir. Number one, teachers should be respected. And one of the ways to respect teachers is that let them be empowered with quality salary. Sir, money has a way of changing confidence.
True.
There's this question I ask whoever complains, sir. You have a daughter as you are right now, and a very excellent teacher just walk up to you. You know he's a teacher, and said, I want to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage. Will you give your daughter to that teacher?
It depends on the school.
Do you understand? And this is the situation. So do you know that if you even look good, people may not want to think that you're a teacher? Because there's that, it has been, that teachers from old days, there was a time they were even telling us in the village that teachers use this ruler to measure yam before they cook up. It tells you that they are not funded, they're not well taken care of. Their welfare is very poor. They are not the type that you see in most places shopping. They're not the one driving good cars. And the only sin they did is that they are teaching, not because they are not intelligent. There should be a way to empower them. Their salary should be something that can buy a bag of rice and have something.
In the back.
In the back.
Okay.
That is one, sir.
Okay.
Secondly, they should create prestige. The profession should have some level of prestige.
Now, let's focus on that prestige. What do you mean by that prestige?
What I meant is a teacher should not be looked down on because he's a teacher, starting from their salary, where they live, how they look. Give them room to look like they are doing well. The same way you see medical doctor, a lawyer, because he put on a wig, there's a way you respect him. So teachers should have something around that environment that makes him feel like a professional.
If urgent action is not taken,
yes, sir.
If nothing happens or how it is now remains the same, what does Nigeria's educational system look like in the next 10 to 5 years or 5 to 10 years?
They'll start looking for how to bring, the same way we import some things, bring in car from all those countries. We start looking for how teachers will come from there to come and teach us.
Yeah. Wow.
Because our best will live here and go there. You may have to start begging them to come, or you look for some others with white skin. even if there's no immediate money, starting from private schools, respect them. Let parents see these teachers as people that are forming a habit in their children, that are transforming lives. Let teachers know that they are doing great work. I don't know how it will be presented, but just look at a teacher, let him know that, thank you. A thank you from a parent has a way of, sometimes you may be looking, I've been in the class for close to 20 years before I moved on to consultancy. A teacher just walk up to you and say, Mr. Ruben, my daughter told me all you've been doing. That meant a whole lot to me. I'm a mathematician by training. So when they said, do you know that the way you taught that math, it gave me
better understanding.
There's that joy I feel. Before we look for that big time that things will change, let's create some level of honor.
So
share your goods with these people.
So in short, appreciation.
Appreciation.
Well, that is wonderful, and I really want to thank you, Mr. Ruben, for your time with us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your insights and your great knowledge and the sacrifices that you gave during your time as a teacher.
Thank you
very, very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Teaching goes far beyond the lesson plan. It's about the people. Every student carries a unique story, and as teachers, we are honored to be a chapter in it. We want to hear from you. Is there a teacher who changed your perspective, or a school memory that stuck with you? Tell us your story. Do you have a picture of your school now? As an alumni, tell us one basic infrastructure or resource your school needs most right now to help the next generation thrive. Send them via WhatsApp on 070-6925-1712. The teacher, one student, one classroom, and one teacher at a time.
The teacher shortage crisis is more than an education issue. It is a national development challenge. Every doctor, engineer, lawyer, scientist, entrepreneur, and leader begins their journey in a classroom, guided by a teacher. Government school owners, communities, and citizens, we must restore the dignity, recognition, and value attached to the teaching profession. Because when teachers thrive, students succeed. When students succeed, nations prosper. Thank you for joining us again on The Teacher. I am Inyang Philip. Join us again next week as we explore another critical issue shaping the future of education in Nigeria. Until then, keep learning, keep inspiring, keep building a better future through education. Goodbye.
It's a pleasure bringing you this program today, a program Security Watch Africa, only on the Africa Independent Television, AIT. This is your program, Security Watch Africa. My name still remains Patrick Abambu. Today we'll be looking at a number of issues, particularly the Nigerian Army Day celebration 2026 that took place. But also I want to say that one of those who have shown passionate love for Security Watch Africa, a young man, Hai Adamu, Q, died during the week. It's been a very traumatic period for us that are close to him, because this was a man, a young man that is doing so well. But may his soul rest in peace. Yes, we'll be starting today's program on a also, again, we want to congratulate the Armed Forces of Nigeria and all the security forces for the safe rescue of the children adopted in Orire local government area of Oyo State. It's something of gladness that these children have been returned to their families. We believe that security agencies have done what they should. No Nigerian should be left in the hands of these bandits or terrorists or whatever, kidnappers, whatever they are. We believe that our armed forces, they are capable and they can do it. All they need is the support from we all. Every Nigerian must support the security agencies to do the needful at all times. Yes, the Africa Security Watch Conference and Awards is coming up this month of July. Already everywhere is set in the Gambia to receive Africans who will be coming to look at the issues of security. Today, security is a global discussion, because what affects another country affects the other, and there is need for a collective responsibility when it comes in terms of security. So we'll be heading to the Gambia to look at how best to take care of African security.
It's here, the 19th edition of the Africa Security Watch Conference. This year's theme is Dimensional Shift in Geopolitics of Africa, its implications to security and development. From July 21st to 23rd at the iconic Sir Dawuda Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center, Banjul, the Gambia, Africans, security professionals, policymakers, and lovers of peace and security will converge to discuss the continent's most pressing security and safety challenges. The special guest of honor is His Excellency Adama Barrow, GMRG, President of the Republic of the Gambia. Lead speakers are His Excellency Dr. Peter Mba, Governor of Enugu State, Nigeria; General Christopher Gwabin Musa, Minister of Defense, Nigeria; Captain Mark Blaine, retired, South African Navy, South Africa; Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, Chief of Army Staff, Nigeria; Professor Theodorus Potgieter, South Africa; and IGP Olatunji Disu, Inspector General of Police, Nigeria. Chief host and host are Honorable Abduli Sanyang, Minister of Interior, the Gambia, and Honorable Babukar Usmaina Juf, Minister of Defense, the Gambia. Be part of the solution to Africa's security challenges. Join us in the Gambia Africa Security Watch Conference, providing solutions to insecurity in Africa.
Activities marking the 163 Nigerian Army Day celebration, NATSEL 2026, a week-long program highlighting the Nigerian Army's enduring commitment, sacrifices, and contributions to national security, have continued in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, following earlier engagements in Abuja. The celebration provides an opportunity to reflect on the Army's journey while reaffirming its readiness to confront emerging security challenges. The week-long activities, which commenced with a media briefing, featured the NATSEL lecture themed Protecting the Nation and Serving the People, a way forward for the Nigerian Army. Welcoming guests and participants in the lecture, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, reiterated the Nigerian Army's commitment to defending Nigeria's sovereignty.
Amidst these security challenges, the Nigerian Army continues to demonstrate resilience, adaptability, and dedication to duty. Our soldiers stand as a testament to our courage and selfless service, often making great sacrifices to preserve the unity and the sovereignty of our dear nation.
He also emphasized the importance of the soldier-first culture philosophy.
Also very critical, the combat readiness of our army is the man behind the equipment. Hence, the soldier-first culture philosophy, which I'm passionate about, is our enduring foundation.
The lecture, delivered by the former Chief of Army Staff and Defense Chief, General Martin Luther Agwe retired, highlighted the need to strengthen Nigeria's national security framework. The special guest of honor, His Royal Majesty Major General Felix Mujapero retired, described the Nigerian Army as a central pillar in maintaining peace, stability, and national development.
As we celebrate Nigeria Day celebration of 2026, let us honor the bravery of those who have served and those who continue to serve. Let us commit ourselves to building a nation where security is not a privilege, but a guarantee, where every citizen feels protected, and where our armed forces stand as a symbol of unity, discipline, and national pride.
On the sidelines of the event, the Chief of Army Staff presented cash prizes to winners of various academic and creative competitions aimed at promoting patriotism, innovation, and youth engagement in national development. As part of activities, a media chat was also held with media executives. The Chief of Army Staff answered questions on improved equipment modernization.
I know personally that as the theater commander at that time in the Northeast, you spearheaded the use of the UAVs and drones. Tell us, so how has the logistics and equipment modernization assisted in the successes recorded by the Nigerian Army currently?
Effective logistics is one of the cornerstones for successful military operations. And in terms of logistics, the Army have acquired several combat enablers that add value to the operations we have conducted. Now, these equipments range from armored personnel carriers, mine-resistant vehicles, and different surveillance unarmed UAVs. These are UAVs, we have both the surveillance UAVs and the ones that have strike capabilities to conduct. In preparing our officers for this, we have sent them to various countries for proper training so that they can be proficient in the use of these equipments. Now, for modern platforms, modernization of our platforms, the Nigerian Army Aviation is one arm that we have given impetus to in the discharge of its responsibilities. The Nigerian Army Aviations, they increase our reach, our response in critical times. So we have given impetus to this, training our pilots both in South Africa, Enugu, and Zaria. Those are the College of Aviations that we sent our personnel to, so that we'll have that ready pool of officers, pilots that can really man these equipment we are bringing.
The day rounded up with a gala night in honor of veterans and serving personnel, where the Chief of Army Staff paid tribute to fallen heroes. The celebration climaxed on July 6 with a colorful grand finale held at the Liberation Stadium in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, which brought together the Governor of Rivers State, the Minister of Defense, senior government officials, serving and former service chiefs, retired senior military officers, traditional rulers, members of the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, and other dignitaries who gathered to commemorate the 163 Nigerian Army Day celebration. The special guest of honor, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, described the Nigerian Army as a critical pillar of Nigerian security architecture.
Across the arc of our history, the Nigerian soldiers stood while the nation was most vulnerable and held the line so that ordinary life might continue undisturbed. In markets and classrooms, on farms and along the 5 roads of our communities, the peace that citizens enjoy is the habits of a vigilance kept far from public view, often at the cost of everything a person holds dear. I've joined you today with a profound sense of national duty to celebrate the Nigeria Army Day celebration that carries within it the African Land Forces Forum, proudly hosted by the Nigerian Army here in the vibrant garden city of Port Harcourt.
Speaking at the grand finale, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, said the military's responsibility goes beyond battlefield victories. The Army Chief highlighted efforts to strengthen operational effectiveness through improved capabilities while appreciating President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his continued support.
We continue to invest in training, intelligence, and modern equipment, while deepening collaboration with sister security agencies. Our ongoing modernization efforts and community engagement initiatives have also aimed to strengthen public trust and further enhance the effectiveness of our operations, ensuring that the safety and security of every Nigerian. The leadership of the Nigerian Army remains committed to improving welfare, training, and general administration. In this regard, the construction of phase 2 of Bola Ahmed Tinubu Barracks, as well as ongoing large-scale renovation projects in barracks across all commissions, are testament to the leadership resolve to improve the welfare of our troops.
The colorful event featured a military parade, tactical demonstrations, and exhibitions showcasing the Nigerian Army's growing technological capabilities and operational readiness.
She dodged it, and now she's to the ground. Or defeat, or win as a march.
The Nigerian Army says it remains focused on professionalism, innovation, and collaboration in addressing Nigeria's evolving security challenges. Elizabeth Thanko, reporting for Security Watch Africa.
Welcome back. Yes, during the week, an officer, an air officer, a Nigerian Air Force officer, squadron leader Ezenyi, launched a book on Masters of Ceremony, and it was quite an impressive one because for the armed forces to look at the issues of public speaking is very important. And Security Watch Africa, Lucy Tao was there, and she brings us the report.
Gathering of great minds in a glamorous ceremony to launch the book titled The Master of Ceremonies Handbook, a step-by-step guide to excelling in event hosting and public speaking, written by Squadron Leader Festus Ezenyi. The special guest of honor, the Chief of the Air Staff, CAS, Air Marshal Sunday Anyeka, represented by Air Vice Marshal Samson Eyikosi, stressed the need for effective communication as a component of military leadership.
Every public engagement, briefing, ceremony, and official event presents an opportunity to reinforce public confidence in our institution through effective and well-packaged strategic communication.
The CAS added that beyond the aircraft, platforms, and operational capabilities, the effectiveness of the Nigerian Air Force was also reflected on how it communicates its mission.
At first glance, a handbook on event hosting and public speaking may appear far removed from the business of air power. However, this is not so, because effective communications remains a critical component of military leadership and operational success.
There were goodwill messages from top military personnel and well-wishers.
I am particularly delighted that one of our own, Squadron Leader Festus Chike Ezenyi, has transformed years of practical experience into a comprehensive handbook that will serve as a valuable piece for masters of ceremony, public speakers, protocol officers, public relations practitioners, event managers, students, and professionals across diverse sectors.
The book reviewer, Air Vice Marshal Edward Ganquet, who was represented by Group Captain Ruth Bello, stressed the importance of a manual on public speaking.
Permit me to start with laying down a profound truth. Every memorable event is remembered not by the speeches delivered or the guest presence, but for the quality of the communication. And at the heart of the success of every event is the master of ceremony, who provides directions, maintains order, inspires confidence, and connects every segment of the program, weaving them into a seamless experience. The master of ceremony is much more than someone who announces speakers. He is somebody that sets the bridge between organizers and the events.
The author, squadron leader Festus Ezeanyi, appreciated all who made it to celebrate with him while speaking on the book.
The ability to communicate effectively and manage ceremonies professionally remains an invaluable skill. This handbook provides practical guidance drawn from my years of experience, observation, study, and professional engagement. Our sponsors, supporters, friends, and members of the organizing committee, your mentorship, encouragement, goodwill, and contributions have made today's event possible.
Lucy Tawo reporting for Security Watch Africa.
Come join us as we celebrate Africa's best in governance, security, safety, transportation, hospitality, environmental stewardship, and people empowerment at the 19th Africa Security Watch Awards this July 21st to 23rd, 2026 at the iconic Sir Dawuda Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center, Banjul, The Gambia. His Excellency Adama Barrow, GMRG, President of the Republic of the Gambia, will lead other esteemed personalities to grace the event. His Excellency Pastor Umo Eno, Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria, will deliver the awards lecture and receive an award. Other award winners are the South African National Defense Force, General Christopher Gwabin Musa, the Kenyan Navy, Honorable Gregory Coleman, Inspector General of Police, Liberia, and others. Let's celebrate Africa's finest and honor outstanding achievements across the continent. Africa Security Watch Awards, celebrating security and safety excellence in Africa.
Welcome back. We have in the studio with us to look briefly on two very important issues. Briefly, the rescue of the girls in Oyo State, the children of Oyo and their teachers in Oyo State, and also the Nigerian Army Day celebration, how he feels. I don't know, these two happened the same week. How will you sum up your view about those two incidents?
Well, I would say that it's a week of good news, a week of goodness for the Nigerian nation. You know, first and foremost, when you see your chief security architecture in the form of the Nigerian Army, organizing a Nigerian Army Day celebration, NATCEL 2026, reviewing their activities, submitting themselves to public scrutiny, in some way, and then also letting the general public see what they've been up to in terms of personnel improvement, equipment and hardware improvement, and then general methodology enhancement. So I think it's something that is worth commending for us in Nigeria, and it should be a source of joy and excitement for the average Nigerian. Then, with regards to the heroic activity that was reported yesterday, where the 44 pupils and their teachers were rescued yesterday by a combined team of practically all the security forces, personnel, infrastructure in Nigeria. I mean, it is something to be celebrated, because I want to believe that this is the first time in our history that such a hostage-taking situation or a hostage-taking event has been successfully, how do I put it? There was no collateral damage. There was no, I believe there was some sort of negotiation, discussions, and all of that, but it's a classic, something, the kind of things we watch in movies, you know, happening in Nigeria. I would like to commend the entire Nigerian nation for having, you know, for me being alive to witness such a thing, and I would like to, you know, tell the Nigerian people that this is a period for us to celebrate that our children were returned unharmed, and of course, yes, we had a sorry situation that took place in the early days of that crisis, but we still thank God that relatively nobody else was harmed, and then everybody has returned safely to the arms of their families and loved ones.
Okay. Now, a lot of people have said, okay, you just said at the beginning is your comments that, of course, maybe that is the first time. You know, we know that we have had situations where there have been some rescues and all that.
Yes, well, I was referring to active
it's always
engagement.
very difficult to have a, you know, combat exchange with the distant. But in this situation, these people realize that there's no way they can fight the forces that were facing them, and they had to let go and all that. Going forward, that is where our focus should be now. What do you think? How can we build on this success? Because we shouldn't just celebrate this alone. We should build on this to see how, if it happens in future, and there's still many Nigerians that are left in captivities, what do you think should be done?
Well, our biggest challenge as a nation across all sectors, both civilian and non-civilian, military, security, and non-military, our biggest challenge as Nigerians is the fact that we know how to relax after we achieve something. We always know how to relax after we have achieved a major milestone. I remember in the days of late former President Muhammadu Buhari, yes, during the Dapchi girls issue, and they were successfully returned. And since then, between that time and now, I do not see any reason why there should be continual, even escalated abductions. It shows that there is a level, there is a degree of seriousness that needs to be tackled. Laxity that needs to be tackled. We are reactive. We are people that are always reactive to things. We don't like to plan. We don't like investing our minds, our mental energies in planning for the, I don't want to call it the inevitable, but for whatever that could happen. You know, so I think that with what has happened today, this has been one of the major tests of the current administration. And I believe that if we are to tell ourselves the truth, this needs to be built on. The methodology of executing this rescue has to be documented, has to be improved upon. The personnel that were part and parcel of it have to also be trained and retrained in managing hostage crisis. Then the combination of all the security units in our country that made this happen, there has to be a consistency, a focus on making sure that we have an active crisis management or hostage management unit, or whatever the case may be, that combines of all of these units of our security infrastructure and setup, so that these kind of things would be preempted. Because security is local, and that was how they were able to nip this matter in the bud and effect this rescue. So I believe that all the methodologies should be documented. There should be proper debriefing and documentation of everything that happened, so that in the future we won't still have to wait until it happens again, and then the children will spend almost 2 months in captivity, the teachers and all of that. And as well, for those that are still in captivity, I believe that government now has a blueprint on being able to solve this problem. So I don't think they should be told. I don't think they should be encouraged. No, this is your responsibility. Swing into action. Those that are still in captivity in Borno State, those that are still in captivity in other sections of the country, this method works. The only thing you can do is the terrain could be different, so you tweak the methodologies to fit the terrain and the socio-cultural setup of such, localities, so that we won't have to tomorrow hear another sad incident of such a thing happening. And then let us, be a nation that has documented methodology, consistency. Let's stop being reactive and become have a very proactive security infrastructure to handle and tackle such things.
We'll continue talking this because I can see you have so much to say, but time is not on our side now. I must say thank you so much for your time. But I know maybe next week we are going to elaborate on all this to be able to come out with a better way because this can form a playbook that will assist in executing this. Yes, some of us are aware of what was done over there, but for security information management's sake, we may not devote it to the public. But really, I think we should build on what has been done in this incident of Orire local government in Oyo State. I must say kudos to all our security agencies for doing a yeoman's job. And even though I say thank you for, this has shown that the Nigerian forces can do it.
Yes.
No need bringing in extra
no
force
foreign
from any
help,
other
no
place.
mercenaries, nothing. Yes.
Exactly, because what we're seeing now shows that our local efforts can achieve quantum results.
Yes.
That is where we'll end it for today. If you have enjoyed watching us, join us again next week when we'll bring you another exciting issue or topic or discussion. Until next week, I said, remain blessed and bye for now.
Health is often shaped by what we see, but even more by what we don't. Hello and welcome to Health Digest, your go-to program for timely, relevant and people-focused health conversations. I am Ukemeret Tokwa. On the program today, we explore a range of health developments that cut across awareness, innovation and your everyday well-being. We bring you stories that matter. On that note, let's begin with our health news. Transforming Africa's healthcare from small-scale trials into continent-wide realities. That was the central mission in Abuja, Nigeria, as the 6th Africa Digital Health Summit concluded at the Abuja Continental Hotel. Gathering global health leaders, policymakers, and tech innovators, this year's summit tackled a critical hurdle. From pilots to scale, growing Africa's health innovation ecosystem. The financial stakes of the digital shift are massive. Nigeria's Ministry of Health revealed the country requires a staggering 500 billion naira over the next 5 years. This funding is critical to construct a foundational digital infrastructure for its national digital health architecture. To meet this goal, the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare made a bold call to action. He urged pension fund administrators to invest heavily in digital health infrastructure, highlighting it as a unique opportunity to boost health delivery. While
health is actually life, and we need to stop treating health like a subset. Climate is health, nutrition is health, health is life. So I would say that we all need to understand that we need to all put our skin in the game. We need to all share the investment and also share the responsibility of making health work. And that also has to do with trust. It's also a conversation around trust. We need to trust each other. We need to understand that there is complementarity. When we trust each other, we're able to bring down our guards, and we're able to know that one organization cannot do it alone. And really be more considerate and, very importantly, redefine the metrics that we use in terms of the indicators around health outcomes. Less of only focusing on delivery indicators, but a lot on focusing on sustainability indicators.
Throughout the two-day event, session partakers like eHealth Africa and CIDA drove intense policy debates. Industry experts stressed that technology alone isn't a silver bullet. True progress requires unwavering government leadership, strict data privacy, and a shift away from temporary donor-supported projects towards more self-sustaining financial models.
So ADHS actually, it's a convener of, or a platform that gives rooms for different digital health conversations to hold. And this year, what was very important, which is something very significant, is the involvement of the federal government, right, at ADHS. And that really gave room for a lot of conversations that could be taken forward by the national government in terms of expanding its digital health initiative. And from the ADHS in itself, we could see that government had several, side sessions where they are discussing policy direction, and new policy framework that they need partners, buy-in.
Cutting-edge AI diagnostics for climate health financing and universal health coverage, the roadmap drawn in Nigeria, Abuja, is clear. Africa is ready to move past the testing phase and fully scale the future of medicine. Still ahead on Health Digest, two major health developments making global headlines. The World Health Organization and Africa CDC have launched a $518 million response plan to contain the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. Bundibugyo strain, which currently has no approved vaccine or treatment. Also, scientists at Stanford Medicine have identified genetic variations that may explain why some people respond differently to the GLP-1 weight loss drugs such as Ozempic. These findings could help pave the way for more personalized obesity and diabetes treatment in the future. Now, to Outreach Edge, where we spotlight health initiatives making an impact closer to home.
For many individuals, a cancer diagnosis is still wrongly viewed as an automatic death sentence. The fear has created silence around symptoms, discouraging people from speaking up or seeking medical attention when early warning signs begin to appear. Health professionals say this dangerous misconception often leads to late diagnosis when treatment becomes more difficult, expensive, and less effective. Experts noted that several cancers, including breast cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer, can successfully be treated if detected early through regular screening and prompt medical checks. Medical practitioners are therefore calling for increased awareness campaigns to educate citizens on the importance of early detection and routine medical checks.
So I tell people that when you have cancer, people will tell you that this myth that goes around that when you have cancer, it's as good as your life is gone, blah, 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 and all those situations. But I tell people that the main key about cancer is that once you have an early detection, the chance of survival is good. People that have more of the version, people that they diagnose at a very, very late stage, more of the stage 4 disease. But if you diagnose very early, apparently there's a good cure for cancer. So it's not a death myth. When you have cancer, it's not a death myth. There are miracles that still exist, there are drugs that work to cure cancer. So is not a death myth. So I advise people that whenever you go to screen for cancer test and you report it, just have it in mind that it is not a death sentence.
They stressed that symptoms such as unusual lumps, unexplained weight loss, persistent pain, abnormal bleeding, prolonged cough, or sudden body changes should never be ignored. According to health advocates, stigmatization also remains a major challenge. This stigma, they say, could discourage open conversations and prevent many individuals from seeking support or treatment.
I care so much about the well-being of people, and I intend to use my office as Miss Kogi International Ambassador to create awareness for cancer and to let people understand that early detection saves lives. Cancer diagnosis is not a death sentence. We need to remove that stigma, and that's why I'm here.
For the outreach here today, we hope to achieve more community awareness around cancer, because we've noticed there's a lot of stigma also around cancer. People are afraid to get diagnosed. People think that cancer is a death sentence. So it's a community screening where we'll screen for potential cancer cases. And then it's also awareness as well, where we teach early detection and where our doctors are also on site to screen patients.
Stakeholders are now urging governments at all levels to strengthen partnerships with non-governmental organizations and healthcare institutions in expanding cancer awareness programs across communities, schools, religious centers, and rural areas. They also emphasize the urgent need for subsidized cancer screening, diagnosis, and treatment to make healthcare more affordable and accessible, especially for low-income families.
The rising of the cancer issues is a threat indeed, and hopefully the government should be doing more of things like this.
What the government should do is partner with more international organizations and their local NGOs as well, so that we all bear the burden and then all come together to assist in the treatment.
They stated that with strong healthcare policies, increased funding, and public-private collaboration, many lives can be saved while reducing growing burden of cancer in society.
You're watching Health Digest now. We're looking at sexual reproductive health, where we spotlight important issues that promote awareness of our reproductive health matters. Stay tuned. Sexual reproductive health. Scientists at Cornell University say they may be closer to developing a breakthrough in male contraception. In a new study, researchers tested a compound known as JQ1 in mice and found it could temporarily shut down meiosis. The process that produces sperm, that is. The treatment effectively stopped sperm production during use, but crucially, the effect was reversible. Once the compound was withdrawn, sperm production resumed and the animals regained full fertility. Going on to produce healthy offspring, scientists describe the findings as a major step towards a safe, non-hormonal male contraceptive. While still in early stage, research experts say it could one day transform how birth control is shared between men and women. I hope you found that fascinating. Now we head to chat to the expert segment, where we hear directly from the voices on the field. What is the importance of elderly and aged care in Nigeria? Elderly or aged care?
Yeah, it is so important to care for the elderly ones. Whichever way you want to look at it, that's from a spiritual point of view or from the moral point of view or life generally. I think elderly care should be taken very serious, because from your childhood you must grow. You must become old. And it is even the prayer of everyone to be born, to grow, to be useful to the society, and to get aged before they return back to their creator. So certainly, when you become old, you are as useless as no one, because your strength, you've lost it by serving the country where you find yourself. Therefore, taking care of them is non-negotiable.
Would you say the moving culture of having your elderly parents and aged ones in the village is still something that is still happening, or is there any shift in that trend? And are there any needs for policies to change to adopt this, in your opinion?
Yeah, let me address your question from the point of my NGO that I represent. That is Mercy of God Elderly Care Foundation that I represent. We see it as a child of necessity because in Nigeria, the elderly one has been abandoned for long. There's no policy that is guiding the elderly ones. Take, for instance, we have Children's Day, we have even Egg Days, we have Women Day, we have Men Day, and whichever way you have, but you hardly hear the elderly days. And all of us are getting to that place. So if there's no policy for them, then we are advocating a policy that, we are advocating for policy to be made that elderly people should be taken very serious, and their issues should be attended to, just like any other thing within the economy. Because whatever the economy is today, those you call elderly people that you abandon, they make it to be. So ultimately, in Nigeria, there's no space, there's no place, there's no care for the elderly ones, and we are working for it. And that's why we have a center at Mercy of God where these elderly people can be kept, or we have those who goes there to take care of, we call caregivers, yes.
Elderly care in general is about properly handling and fostering advocacy for older persons for a healthy aging, emphasizing that healthy aging matters in our society, where witchcrafting and abuses are too high in our society. Using Kenyan issue concerning one lady who was accused of witchcraft because of aging. Now in our society today, we don't see aging as a blessing. We see aging as a witchcraft. When people are aging, we less talk about them, we less engage them, we less value them. So aging advocacy is all about bringing them to the limelight that they matters in the society.
What is the most important health need for the elderly, or need in general for the elderly?
Healthy aging, just about aging itself. Aging is a very concerned problem. Aging alone is a health issue because aging, you face dementias, your system starts failing, you are weak, you can't do so many things on your own, you become so weak to the things you can do before. So aging is a very serious health challenge that needs a proper guide for formal training to help them, guide them in their dementia issue, because they face forgetfulness, they face challenges of loss of memory, they face disability to things they can do which they cannot do. Looking at our elderly care home, Mercy of God Elderly Care Home at Kagini, there we have one in residence. There you see the practical aspect of the aging where they cannot help themselves. We provide the necessary needs, feeding them, bathing them, and going to market, providing some dementia support, and as well providing them with a healthy environment.
So the 15th of June was the Day Against Elderly Care Abuse. How do you ensure that when it comes to caretaking and caregiving, that the elderly's integrity is kept in check?
World Elderly Day Abuse Awareness Day celebration is a United Nations celebration done worldwide to recognize the impact of aging in some of our societies that are giving lesser concern to older persons. And the major concern on that celebration is to make sure that they get access to the proper health care, and government knows that these people have served the community, they have served the country, and they should be also recognized as senior citizens in the state, and they should be cared for.
Some policies that the government should put in place to support elderly management, as well as what your organization is doing.
Okay, thank you. Now, in generally, in Nigeria, there is no specific celebration for older persons, which we have been advocating for them to include the policy that a day should be fixed where the older person should be celebrated. And as well, they will be taught, they will be given access to proper health care, and let the policy be on providing on every state a ultra-modern system of elderly care home where the need assessments are done, where the proper health cares are provided, and also where their lives are also secured. And their security management and the health policies which are focusing on health, provision of relief materials, and also proper health caregivers. Speaking to Nigerians, you know, our healthy aging, like I said before, Mercy of God Care Foundation is really implementing a very major aspect of the society, a major work, which yesterday we met some of the government officials, and our emphasis on let them put in place some trainings, seminars that advocates for older persons, and the person-centered activities that also look at proper caregiving, like what we are doing in our Mercy of God Care Foundation, looking at grooming caregivers. And we are talking to Nigerians at this moment that when your parents is aging, it is not, everything is not witchcrafting. They should understand that there are some dementia issues that are beyond them, and they need to consult organizations like Mercy of God Care Foundation and other partnered organizations like IFI Motivational Charity Foundation, Linkage for Humanitarian, and Help Age UK that are always emphasizing on proper care for older persons, so that they will be guided, they will be taught on how to manage aging issues.
We have a center already at Kagini precisely. In fact, we have a program coming up on Saturday 27th of this month, which is precisely tomorrow, where we are going to have some program for a kind of for people to come around, see the place, and contribute to the welfare of the elderly ones. Whatever they contribute is not for anybody, but it's for themselves. Because whatever you contribute onto any elderly person today, you are contributing to yourself for tomorrow.
Thank you so much for that. You've made some very good points. However, I want to know, when it comes to the health aspect of the elderly one, are there any preparations made to take care of the elderly when it comes to the health challenges? And what health challenges would you say the elderly ones face that are biological and normal?
Yeah, thank you very much. Like I said, in Nigeria, there's no preparations. Even among families, there's no preparations. Take, for instance, there are certain drugs that the elderly ones are supposed to be taking. There are certain food that they are supposed to be taking. But some of this food, today, agriculture is zero in Nigeria. Those foods that we could, in fact, now as I speak with you, my NGO is working towards, with some agricultural firms, where those food, the type of food like rice, maize, some of that, there are some certain food that they needed. Today, we don't even have enough of it. And the farmers, because of the insecurity, they are not planting. The little one is very expensive. The family cannot even afford. Even to afford for the younger ones, talk less of the older ones. That's why the older ones are being abandoned. Even the type of drugs that they needed, it's not forthcoming. And when you see it, it is very expensive. So the care for the elderly ones is zero. We are partnering with clinics, hospitals, that is there, a healthcare. Then most of the time they come around, and we have a doctor, we have 1 or 2 doctors that render service to us on voluntary basis because of the concern he has, comes around, look at the elderly ones, that the few ones we have for now. By the grace of God, after our launching, we're sure of getting more materials to start bringing and accepting, the elderly ones. Don't also forget, we have also started training the caregivers, because the caregivers, we need more of them, that they could go out, people can access them to take care of the elderly one when they are not there. Because take, for instance, when your parents are old and you are grown, you have your job, one is married, you have your family, the elderly ones are abandoned. That is why we're putting all this into position, so that we can start coming up with something that happens out there that most of us go out to sort for.
One final health update before our next segment. Researchers at ETH Zurich identified a previously unknown biological trigger linked to Alzheimer's disease and developed an experimental compound that blocks the harmful process in laboratory studies. It says that the discovery could open new pathways for developing future treatments for the condition. Now, if you love our news and updates, you can do one thing. Stay connected to our space through our social media platform, Ukeme On Air. This is on Instagram, YouTube, and of course on LinkedIn. Now, finally, on Health Digest, we turn to our balance check segment for your everyday food nutrients, lifestyle habits, and how they impact the body when taken right or wrong, or the proportions. Let's break it down for you. Water is essential for life. It helps regulate body temperature, transport nutrients, support digestion, and keeps the body's organs functioning properly. While some health trends encourage people to drink excessive amounts of water each day, experts say hydration needs vary from person to person. According to the World Health Organization, fluid requirements depend on factors such as age, activity level, climate, and overall health. Drinking too much water in a short period can overwhelm the body's ability to maintain sodium balance, leading to a condition known as hyponatremia. In severe cases, this can cause confusion, seizures, and even death. The key is balance. Stay hydrated, respond to your body's thirst signals, and avoid overconsumption. And that's our program today. From global health development to community impact coverage, we've explored key issues shaping well-being across different spaces. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us on Health Digest. As always, stay blessed and not stressed. I'm Ukeme Tokwa. Bye.
child shall in all circumstances be among the first to receive protection and relief in times of emergency and disaster.
UNICEF means the survival, development, and protection of children all over the world. Africa, Asia, South America, everywhere.
Ms. Hepburn traveled to virtually every area of the world where children and women are in need of assistance, giving them hope and comfort with her presence and tenderness.
I would like to read to you something very, very important, and it moves me deeply to have this privilege. The preamble to the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The child needs love and understanding and shall have the right to grow up in an atmosphere of affection and security. The child shall be entitled to grow and develop in health and shall have the right to adequate nutrition, housing, recreation, and medical services. The child is entitled to receive education and an opportunity to develop abilities in order to become a useful member of society.
Hello, and many thanks for sharing your time with us on people, politics, and power. Well, on this edition, we shall focus our attention on the environment, specifically environmental pollution. Now, for decades, the Niger Delta region has carried the burden of Nigeria's oil wealth. Today, the people of Bile Kingdom in Degema local government area of Rivers State say they are confronting yet another environmental emergency. An unexplained gas leak reportedly contaminating water sources, threatening public health, disrupting fishing and livelihoods, and raising fears of an ecological disaster. Residents have reported bubbling water, a strong sulfur-like odor, and concerns over the safety of drinking water and the environment. While the federal government and relevant agencies have commenced investigations and pledged to identify the source of the leak, many community members are asking why it has taken so long to arrive at lasting solutions in a region that has endured decades of environmental degradation. The Bile incident raises fundamental questions about environmental governance. corporate accountability, emergency response, and the protection of communities living in Nigeria's oil-producing areas. It also challenges the country's commitment to balancing resource extraction with the constitutional duty to safeguard the lives, health, and livelihoods of its citizens. Today we ask, who is responsible for this environmental crisis? Are regulatory institutions doing enough? What immediate relief should affected residents receive? And what lessons must Nigeria learn to prevent another environmental tragedy in the Niger Delta? I am Imonia Marire, and I have joining me right here in the studio and from Port Harcourt, in the River State capital, my guests who will be joining me to analyze the situation. Right here in the studio, I'm joined by Mr. Abdul Karim Musa. He's an attorney with a focus on the legal intersection of energy, environmental, and natural resources law. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Also joining me here in the studio is Mr. Ben Agunloye. Mr. Agunloye is an information and knowledge management professional. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Joining us virtually from Port Harcourt, the River State capital, is Diolu Tobechukwu. He is an environmental activist. Mr. Tobechukwu, thank you for finding time to join us. We are also joined by Chief Bennett Okpoki. Chief Okpoki is the spokesperson of the Bile Council of Chiefs. Hopefully, he should be joining us in a moment. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Tobechukwu, let's begin with you. Let's get to understand the situation on ground in Bile community in Degama local government area.
All right, thank you so much for this privilege, and thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be and privileged to be here with your amazing guests. I mean, when I heard about the Bile crisis late last year, I run an organization in Port Harcourt. It's an environmental justice organization, Lane Green, and we do a lot of storytelling around environmental pollution. And we've visited at least 70 to 80 communities over the period of 1 year, and I've seen a lot in the space. So nothing really surprises me. But for the first time in my life, when I went to Bile, I've heard about it. I stayed in Bile for about 2 days. And what I saw is unimaginable. I've never seen a large-scale pollution and environmental crisis at this level. It's almost like an apocalypse level disaster where, I mean, you could see the video where you practically can see the water bubbling, you practically can smell gas, you know, and you wonder, I mean, myself and about 40 members that I went with, all of us fell sick. And I began to imagine what the community people would be going through, you know, and you see rashes all over their bodies. You see that, I mean, I spoke to the people in the hospital, the nurses, and they said they've never seen that influx of people like that. Almost every day, the healthcare center there is filled up with sick people, you know, and the dangerous part of it is that they don't understand fully the gravity of the health implications and how it will affect them in the long term. Of course, what we see are the bubbles, what we see the black water, but a lot of what we do not see is what scares me the most in terms of the damage. And if you can see a clear water turning black physically, just imagine what is happening in the system of people. Just imagine what the people there, the women, the children, the men there, you know, the long-term effect, and that's what we usually do not capture in a lot of our environmental activism, is because we don't have a lot of incidents reporting. You begin to imagine the long-term effect that this does in their health. So Bile crisis is a disaster, and I feel that Bile is a ticking time bomb waiting to explode.
Go further to ask you, Mr. Tobechukwu, what do you consider to be the immediate and remote causes of this pollution that we are seeing on the screen right now?
For me, I believe, I mean, we have not gotten empirical data on that, but we strongly believe that it's as a result of abandoned pipelines, the gas exploration activities underground, possibly a leakage that has been sustained over time. As I said, we do not have empirical data. A lot of what NOSRA brought out was the air quality data, which showed that there was a high concentration of methane. But for the cause, we are assuming and almost very sure that it's as a result, of course, because Bile houses a lot of oil wells and pipeline, and you have a lot of flow stations there. We strongly believe that it's as a result of the oil activities over time, abandoned properties. We've been talking about this divestment issue, not closing up oil well heads, and then the pipeline on the ground maintenance issue. And if you have a leakage underground that has been sustained, and you see that the gas is trying to find an escape route, spread all over the groundwater, and over time you now begin to see what you've seen. But I strongly believe it's as a result of the activities of the oil companies operating in Bile.
All right, we expect that Chief Bennett Okpoke, who is the spokesperson of the Bile Council of Chiefs, will join us. Is supposed to be joining us and to give us a first-hand account of what exactly is happening in that community and how the people in that community are actually coping with the situation. Now, as we understand, Mr. Musa, this has been going on since late 2025. This is July.
Yeah.
And that means that for 7 to 8 months, this has been on.
Yes.
If not more. And I'm just wondering why it is taking the relevant agencies of government and even government itself to deal with this kind of situation. From your vantage position as one who is focused on the legal intersections of energy and the environment, and of course natural resources, what do you think is causing all of the delay?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that this continuous oil leak, gas leak, or seepage without attention is an indictment on the responsibility of government of Nigeria. Because for a community whose natural resources has generated enormous wealth for Nigeria to be abandoned and neglected, to be subjected to continuous pollution and threat to public health as a result of this oil seepage and left unattended to, is really an indictment on the responsibility of the government. It's in fact an infringement on the right of the indigenes of that community. By Section 20 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, one of the fundamental objectives of the government is to ensure that environment is conducive.
All right.
for
Mr. Musa, just a minute. We want to welcome our viewers on terrestrial transmission to this program, and we are looking at the gas and oil pollution situation in Bile, in Degama local government area of Rivers State that has been on since late 2025. A government delegation recently visited that community, and it does appear that nothing concrete is actually being done. Let us also state from the onset, put on record that we made very serious and strenuous efforts to get the regulatory agencies of government, the NNPC, and the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission to come on this program. But we were unsuccessful. They were unwilling to come to explain the situation. So we have with us in the studio Mr. Abdul Karim Musa, who is an attorney with a focus on the legal intersection of energy, environmental, and natural resources law, right here with me. And also here in the studio is Mr. Ben Agunloye, who is an information and knowledge management professional. And joining us from Port Harcourt is Mr. Diolu Tobechukwu, who is an environmental rights activist. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Yes, we were with you, Mr. Karim Musa. You were talking about the failure of government and governmental institutions in dealing with this. And as it is, according to you, this also appears to be a violation of rights.
Yes. Yes, so like I was saying, so it's a violation of the rights of the indigents of that community, because that community has, by the natural resources they have, enriched Nigeria enormously. And the least the country can do is to ensure that the community is protected against these forms of pollution. And we find it as an abdication of responsibility when the government and the government institutions resort to issuing palliatives and relief materials for incidents that can be permanently resolved. So when you look at it from a legal point of view, you see that these pollutions consistently unattended to is an infringement on certain rights fundamental to the indigents of the Bile community. The Constitution provides for the right to life, and this continuous pollution is a very dangerous pollution that serves as a threat to the life of the indigents of that community. And we can say conveniently that their right under Section 33 of the Constitution to life is being threatened. Their right to human dignity, as enshrined in Section 34 of the Constitution, is also being threatened. The responsibility of government under Section 20 of the Constitution to ensure that the environment is protected against pollution is also being abdicated. The government this is an abdication of responsibility. So it is quite an unfortunate incident. It is my position that this continuous resort to issuing relief materials and palliatives when this happens should not be. There are institutions that are responsible for issues like this. There's an agency responsible for oil spillage. There's the NNPC, there's the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission, there's the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Commission. All these agencies are in place to ensure that these issues are attended to. So when we see continuous neglect of communities with these issues, it shows a high level of irresponsibility of government.
Mr. Agunloye, from your point of view, I mean, we have seen how extensive that seepage is. People in that community have cried out. They have said that, look, they cannot even drink the water from that environment anymore. Now, what do you think has happened? Why has it taken government so long, from 2025, late 2025, until now? And what are the immediate health and environmental protection systems that can be put in place, measures that can be implemented by government at this time to save these people from this situation?
Now, from all that we have seen, I think that the villagers began to complain October last year. The complaint became public November last year. Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency did not launch any investigation until April. And even from April till now, they have not given us any report as to what their investigation findings are. I think that on the part of NUPRC, waiting for 6 months to launch an investigation into an imminent danger was not fair enough. Now, up till this moment, you have checked everywhere. I have not heard NESTRIA, that's Nigeria Environmental Regulatory Agency, who should actually have made sure that such incidents do not even happen at all. I have not heard any statement from NESTRIA. From NOSDRIA, I've also not heard them make any categorical statement. Now, these are agencies that the law, and these are institutions that have been established with officers, with offices, who should ordinarily have taken responsibility for these things. But they are saying nothing. NUPRC that has stated said they are investigating, they have not given us a report. Now, if you have an imminent danger reported November last year, between then and now, I am yet to see what as NEMA, the National Emergency Management Agency, does. Because they're talking about gas. A gas seepage can resort to fire at any time, and the disaster can be imminent. Of course, we're also looking at what exactly is the scenario. Is he an active flow station? Is he a decommissioned flow station. Now, if it has been decommissioned, who supervised the decommissioning? Because in decommissioning, you're supposed to have removed all the pipes, you're supposed to have cemented the underground, and of course, even in the PIA, there is a provision for monitoring of that environment to ensure that even after decommissioning, that there will be no pollution. So where is the money in the escrow account? What exactly have we done to these people? Are we going to relocate them? Are you getting them an alternative water supply? Now the government, whether the state government or the federal, didn't even step into Bile until 1st of July. That's last week. Was the first time they were coming in, and the governor is now talking about upgrading. You're just talking about, you need an emergency health care system. Upgrading an existing facility that will still go through contractual process and the rest is not what should happen. You should have come in with a mobile clinic or make a provision for evacuation, for treatment, and then come up with an agenda. This is how we are going to restore this land, ensure that it is safe before we begin to return the people. But I have not seen that in all the fanfare of the governor saying, oh, we are with you. No, it is not a time for speech making. We are in a time for genuine action. How do we get safe water for these people? How do we ensure that they are in an environment where the air is clean and they can breathe in properly? Now, of course, on the other part, I would also have expected the National Assembly by now to take responsibility, because in the Nigerian law, Nostria existed for such purpose. Nestria existed for environmental protection. So if we are not being protected, if that environment has been left exposed, if in almost 9 months things have been going wrong and nothing has been done, I think that the relevant National Assembly committees by now should have been asking questions from NUPRI, from NUPRC, from Nostria, from Nestria, from even the National Emergency Management Agency. Because gas leakage, for me, it's an emergency. It's not something that should be subjected to endless bureaucratic routines.
Okay. Well, let's understand that we did invite Chief Bennett Okpoki, who is the spokesperson of Bile Council of Chiefs. We are still expecting that he might be able to still join us. But in the meantime, Diolu, let's get back to you. For somebody like you who, alongside your colleagues, has visited the community, what we see in the videos that are circulating, is it as much, as dangerous as it seems? And could this incident have been prevented through any, stronger environmental monitoring measures?
Honestly speaking, you pictures and videos do not do justice to how terrible this situation is. And I wish I wish I can just carry everybody. The level of pollution that you see on ground it's not something that you can measure. It's as I said, my team members fell sick. Myself, I had sore throat for long. I was battling with symptoms that I could not understand. You can't even stand there. They completely evacuated the secondary school, and I have videos on my social media. They completely evacuated all the students from the primary and secondary school there. As of now, as I'm talking to you, that place is sealed off because, this is a school for children, primary and secondary school. Gas bubbling from there, methane gas, different kind of. You can't even wrap your head around the kind of gases that come out of there. And while we were there, we could not even stay there for long because you find yourself coughing, you find yourself, losing your breath, and that is where the school is. Right? I met a lot of families that at the back of their houses, you see that bubbling happening in front of their houses, at the back of their houses. Some of them, they are borehole, and you see the pressure without a pumping machine. You can see how it just gives you a picture of how bad the situation is. When you even talk about how it affects their livelihood and how it, and that still brings me back to the irresponsibility of our regulators, and that's what we've been talking about and crying about for years. It just seems like when the National Assembly meets and they formulate a committee, we have good laws in Nigeria. It just, many of them are just on paper. It's almost like we don't have the political will. It's almost like these people don't even care. Just imagine almost 6 months, 5 months plus, and no response. You just begin to see how funny our lawmakers are, how funny our regulators are, and the level of irresponsibility and lack of value for human life, is just appalling to see that. But a lot could have been done to prevent things like this. And when we talk about decommissioning, like the last speaker said, we've been talking about this. When you see what happened in Otuabagi, what happened in a lot of communities like Biseni, imagine last year we had a lot of those kind of incidences. Up to today, in Okrika, we have a fire incident that has been on for 2 years. Although we have a lot of pockets of those kind of incidents like that and you just see that, first of all, we are reactive in this country in terms of how we deal with issues. You could have seen signs right from time if our regulators have been really regulating. But you see a lot of these oil companies have a free pass. They function without supervision, they do what they want to do. It's almost like the regulators just exist on paper. And so it's frustrating because at the end of the day, you really do not even know who to hold accountable because everybody keeps shifting blame. And that's the crop of the matter. From the foundation, we just have to really look at the whole operational system in the oil and gas sector to see how we now begin to really structure this system to hold people accountable, for these disasters that we face in Niger Delta. But in Bile, it's a whole crisis.
Diolu, if I heard you right, for those of you who visited maybe just for a few hours, some of you took ill. Now, I'm beginning to imagine what the health and economic impact is for the people who live in that community itself. How can they exist with that kind of situation and still be in that same community? And nobody is coming to their help?
So that's one of the first things we try to recommend is that this place has to be sealed off. If it is in a developed country, that's what I suggest. Before you even go into the bureaucracy, if you've been there in Bile community, if you've stayed there, I stayed there for 2 days, and I've visited severally, you understand why that place should be sealed off. The first thing to do, and I recommended that these people need to be evacuated from this place. Talking about renovating the hospital, the kind of solutions that we even come up with in this country is like a no-brainer. Because what are you renovating? It's just like saying this is something that is killing people. You have seen that there is methane gas that is inflamed. They've had 2 records of fire outbreaks. A lot of them is online. I can send you the video afterwards. You see record of fire outbreak. You see how the fire is pumping from the ground. In fact, a lot of the people in Bile told me that they don't cook inside their house. They try to go to a place that is safe before they can cook. You hear a lot of that. A lot of them cannot cook. While we were at Bile, one small girl told one of my team members, please, if they share pure water, please remember us. Pure water is a luxury. Pure water is palliative in Bile, just because a lot of them don't even have access to that. And then you are talking about renovating hospital. It's almost like saying, continue being sick, continue dying, don't worry. We are postponing your death. It makes no sense to me. So the first thing that we recommended was, look, find a way to have a head count of everybody in Bile. Let's have pure data, because that's been our problem in this country, lack of data. Let's have pure data and then evacuate these people first. While we seal off Bile, because that site is even a threat to the entire environment in that place. Because as I said, methane gas is highly inflammable, and air quality tests on record show that it is 10,000 times above normal level in Bile. 10,000 times above normal level, and that is highly inflammable. So it's almost like you're sitting on gas, right, that could explode at any time. Any of these houses can explode at any time. It has happened, and I even heard that a small girl was injured in the process, because we did a lot of interviews and we interviewed a lot of the community people, and we heard a lot of a lot of things. And we saw those things with our eyes. There's a fire truck that they've put there. I think the government put a fire. It's almost like they are just trying to supervise the death of Bile people rather than find a solution for it, because it makes no sense to me, the kind of solution that they are coming up with. So I can go on and talk about how deadly the situation is in Bile.
Thank you so much, Diolu. Before we go forward, before I ask people to react, we understand, as you have rightly mentioned, that the government delegation visited Bile recently, and there were promises made. Let's get to hear what the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and the DG of the NUPRE had to say on that during that visit. And then when we come back, my guests will be reacting to those.
Realizing the fact that we don't have gas or oil infrastructure within the vicinity of the incident, there was need to carry out investigation. Investigation is still going on, but we say let it be a follow-up visit to the area after the visit of the governor, and to talk to the people of the Bile community. We are with you on this very issue. Without the people, there is no government. And so the primary responsibility of government is to take care of the welfare and security of the people. And that's exactly why we are here, to go and see things for ourselves and plead with the people. Let them be a little bit patient, that we are working on finding a lasting solution.
Got to know about the leak. We commissioned a joint investigating visits. And we've done several tests. And as we speak today, we are still on it. Be rest assured that we are doing everything within the ambit of the law to arrest it and to ensure that the community, we minimize the impact to the community as best as we can.
If I heard the Minister of State well, he said there's no gas or oil within the vicinity of Bile. So how come there is that, pollution taking place there? If according to him, there's no gas or oil exploration within that community.
Yeah,
is that a possibility?
The statement of the minister is not a well-researched statement, and I must say that it is unfair to the indigents of that community who are suffering the imminent dangers associated with this level of pollution, for a minister to come out and say there is no oil. And the measures that are being taken does not seem to suggest any care or attention to the people. For the minister to be asking that the indigents should be patient for action to be taken does not suggest
from
prudence.
November or October 2025
until now. So what I expected from the government, from the agencies, the regulatory agencies, is to immediately launch an investigation to know what is the cause of this pollution, because there are several causes. It could be as a result of a corrosion of pipelines. It could be as a result of breaking of pipelines. It could even be as a result of maybe bunkering or some other illegal activities that are causing those pollutions. So it is upon detecting the cause of this pollution that necessary actions can be taken. And then the agencies, there's an agency for the detection of oil spillage. So those agencies, we should be getting comprehensive reports from these agencies, other than the minister making a ceremonious statement, other than giving palliatives. There should be an attention to the lives of the indigents of that community before any political statement is put out. So what I expected to have, the minister to have told Nigerians, are steps that are being taken towards the protection of the lives and properties of the indigents of that community. Because if you look at it carefully, the life of these people are in danger. Their economy is under threat, because they are largely a people that deal with the water, they transport by water, and their their farming system is water-based, and all that is being ruined as a result of this pollution. And the community should not be made to pay this heinous price for the prosperity of Nigeria without the Nigerian state paying a corresponding attention to these people. So it is quite a misfortune to see this. I expect the necessary agencies from the National Assembly of Rivers State to the government of Rivers State to the NNPC, the NUPR, and other necessary agencies to take steps in line with the laws establishing them to address these issues immediately.
Mr. Agunleye, one is tempted to ask, this was how the build-up to the Ogoni crisis started. Now, what lessons do you think that we have learned from the Ogoni incident, and what does this hold for environmental governance across Nigeria oil-bearing communities?
Not just oil-bearing community. Environmental governance as a whole is something that I think we don't care about. Even health and safety in offices, we care less. I've been inside Standard Organization of Nigeria office in Ikoyi, Lagos once, and NEPA took light, and everywhere went black, and we couldn't. You just have to stay where you are.
Can't find your way around.
You couldn't find your way around. So if Standard Organization office is that unsafe, then I wonder what standards they are recommending to the others. So like I said clearly, whether it is a pipe that passed under the ground or it is a seepage that is coming from whichever environment, the first thing is that this thing was noticed almost 9 months ago. And so if it has been there for 9 months, government should no longer be talking about investigating why the people are there suffering and dying. There should have been evacuation. In that meeting, I was waiting to see NEMA, like I said. The National Emergency Management Agency should have been present with the minister and do their own. Their own business is not about investigation. Their business is to make sure that the people are saved.
Emergency response.
Emergency response. Move the people. Build shelter. Then you can do your, if you now like, and take responsibility for them wherever you take them. Just like Tolu said, you needed to have the specific number of people so that you know what provision you're making for them, so that you can at least arrange their feeding, their water, and cater for them. But now, if you take that responsibility, if government is taking that responsibility, then the onus will be on the government to finish the process as quick as possible, because to keep them in a temporary accommodation fed by government, of course, they are an IDP in that instance. They are internally displaced person, and the responsibility will be on the government to take care of them. So if you don't want to continue to take that responsibility, you needed to fix their environment so that they can go back. So you will see it clearly. Like I said, NUPRC is more responsible, in my opinion, for exploration business of Nigeria. They are business people. But Nostria and Nestria are meant to ensure that the environment is safe and the people are protected. I have not seen Nostra in this process. I have not seen any statement from Nestria, what they have done to ensure that the environment is protected. When you go through the Nigerian laws, Nostria did not start yesterday. They've been here for more than 10 years. Nestria has been here for more than 10 years. They are renovating their own Abuja office every now and then, pumping money. But we can see them in those endangered places. In the mining locations in the North Central, they are not present. In any mining location anywhere in the nation, you really cannot say this is what Nestria is doing. And along the waterways and in the oil-rich region, you also cannot say this is what Nostra is doing. But they exist. They are in the budget. They have DGs. They have boards. They have stars. And these people are earning money. So it's sad that we have seen all these things as employment rather than responsibility. The name NEMA should carry responsibility. The name Nostra should carry responsibility. The name Nestra should carry responsibility. LUPRC should carry responsibility. They are not appointment and employment, in my opinion. They are responsibility. And when people represent those agencies, we should see the responsibility going forward and be the first thing you are putting up. And then you come to our civil society. There are conservation clubs, conservation foundation. I'm also not able to see strongly their position on some of these things. There is a process of prevention, and now that emergency has happened, we shouldn't even be talking about all the 10 steps or 7 steps. No, it should be that we respond to it. We have not learned any lesson from Ogoni crisis. That's the practical reality. Because if we have, we won't allow such incidents as this to repeat. And if it does repeat, we would take immediate action to ensure that the remediation and the restoration of the environment is put in the front burner and everybody does it. National Assembly, for me, they have let the nation down. They have let the people of the South down. In fact, we have not even heard them make one statement about Bile. You wonder if Bile even have somebody representing them in the National Assembly, because their matter has not been in the Senate, their matter has not been in the House of Rep. So it's a sad development.
And I doubt very much if their matter has even come up in the Rivers State House of Assembly. Because, I mean, for situations like this, it is the state governments and state institutions that should respond first. But talking about responsibility, Diolu, let's look at what kind of responsibility that the oil companies that operate in that area have or should have. What are the operators doing at this point in time? What did you find out the operators are doing at all to help the situation in Bile?
Nothing. Zero. I mean, we've not seen any presence of any operator. We've been calling out NNPCL because that is the known operator, because a lot of the shell assets is under the care of NNPC. And we've not heard anything from them. And this is the pattern. I mean, it's not surprising. And for me, I see that if NOSDRA cannot call the operators to order, I mean, a lot of what we can just do, or what we do from our end, is just to advocate, make noise, bring the story out there, but civil society, we do not have that constitutional right to call them to order or punish them. And that's what we expected from NOSDRA. And saying that from the polluters pay principle, and according to the PIA Act, we talked about proper decommissioning. And for a lot of us, this is something we've been talking about for a long time. You don't see, when there's oil spillage, you see them blaming community people. This gas leakage too, sometimes you hear some comments from some of these operators, and you're wondering if these people even have human sympathy. Because many of them don't live there. Many of them don't even live in Port Harcourt. Many of them don't even live in Rivers State. Many of them are in Abuja. They just make money from there and they spend it in Abuja. Children, they are not affected at all by these things. And so you see their body language is almost like the federal government and our institutions are on the side of the IOCs and the side of the oil operators. So many times you see that they treat this thing with levity. You don't see this happen in developed countries. How many times have you heard of this kind of thing? We are not the only country that drill oil. We're not the only country that has oil. There's Saudi Arabia, there's Qatar. How many times do you see things like this? We're not the only country that has oil operators. But then you just see the anyhowness of our system. And for me, I see that the oil companies are just benefiting from the lackadaisical attitude of the government and her institutions. Because if we have NOSDRA, who is tasked with the responsibility of holding oil companies accountable, they can shut down those operations, not saying anything, not doing anything, not making an official statement till today. You just understand that it's almost like you're giving these people a free pass. They don't take responsibility for, not even official statement from the oil companies is non-existent.
Yeah. So what kind of legal remedies do you think that that community can resort to now?
Well, talking about legal remedies, there are a few remedies available to the indigents of that community, because by the legal principle, wherever ubi just ibi remedium, wherever there is a wrong, there must be a remedy. I believe that the fundamental rights of the indigents of Bile have been breached by the activities of those oil explorers, and by the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act, there is a room for decommissioning. If those pipes that are being broken or belong to explorers or certain operators, what decommissioning is actually is that a certain amount, by the provision of the Act, is set aside by oil explorers, such that when they finish their exploration activities, those monies they've deposited would be used to decommission, pack out, and clean out the areas that they have explored. So the question is, which authority is responsible for retaining those monies, and what have they done? And these leaks that are causing this pollution, are they products of previous explorations, or are they even pipes that are still in use by the operators? So talking about legal remedies, the government must take steps before the indigents take legal action. If the government take necessary steps like evacuating the indigents from that community and compensating them for infringing on their rights, economic rights, their right to education, because students cannot go to school in this polluted environment. And
their education,
their education
farming,
has been impacted negatively. Their
health
has been impacted negatively. So if government takes necessary steps to compensate them for these breaches that have taken place, then it's fine. But in the event that government fails to do so, the indigents of this community can sustain a viable action against the government, the oil companies that are occasioning this pollution, and even against the agencies and the commissions that are set up by government to take responsibility for issues like this. These are the legal remedies available to the indigents of the Bile community. But then, this is because we have seen over time that the government and its institution exhibit an unimaginable level of irresponsibility. Not that we don't have sufficient laws. It is the execution of the laws that we have that has been a consistent challenge in this country. And both international, regional, and national instruments exist to prevent issues like this. The African Charter on Human and People's Rights provides, as per Section 24, that it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that the environment is clean at all times for the benefit of the indigents of the communities. So there are a plethora of laws under which these indigents can exercise their legal rights. But we expect some level of responsibility, because government is instituted for the benefit and the protection of the life and properties of the people. That is what dividends of democracy is about. If we are proclaiming that we have a democracy, then the participants in that democracy, which is the Nigerian people, must have certain dividends, because government is, if you say we have a democracy, it's just like an investment. If you have an investment, you expect return on your investment. If you have a democracy, you expect benefits from the democracy that you have. But if we continue